I am on the internet and I am a writer for the same reason, which is to connect to other people. So it's the same instinct for me in both things. Like I want to write a poem that one person will be like, I love that poem. And I want to make a video that one person will be like, that was hilarious. So for me, it's just the same, it's human to human. And this is also why I don't live in fear of AI. Because I think if you build an audience, if you get those stalkers, those parasocial connections, that's human to human. Like AI is not going to, can never replace that.
Welcome to the Unspeakable Podcast. I am your host, Meghan Daum. Before we get to this interview with Leigh Stein, a quick reminder that on September 3rd, that is coming right up in New York City, I will be in conversation with best-selling novelist and columnist Lionel Shriver. We will be talking about my new book, The Catastrophe Hour, and also about Lionel's books, her columns in The Spectator, all kinds of things. She's been a guest on the podcast many times. We always have a lot to talk about. This is happening at the Village Underground Comedy Club at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 3rd. The link to buy tickets is in the show notes. You can also go to meghandaum.com/events. If you purchase your ticket soon, and the event is happening soon, you get a discount by using promo code Catastrophe18 at checkout. The doors are going to open at 5:15. We will be selling books, and we will be out of there by 7:30 because the comedy is going to start at 8. It's going to be a great night. I would love to see you there. About a month after that, of course, is our big Unspeakeasy Ideas Weekend featuring many speakers, among them John McWhorter, Carol Hooven, Mike Pesca, Peter Moskos, Andrew Hartz, Lisa Selin-Davis, Alana Newhouse, Ben Appel. Am I forgetting anybody? We have so many people. I am probably forgetting somebody, but you've heard me say their names enough times. This is going to be an incredible thing. There are still a few spots left, not a lot, but go to theunspeakeasy.com/NYC to find out about it. It's going to be amazing. Okay, today's guest is Leigh Stein. She's a listener favorite, novelist, essayist, very in-demand publishing coach. She's been here several times talking about books, the publishing business, the strange state of our cultural economy. But this time she's here talking about her own novel. It's brand new. It's called If You're Seeing This, It's Meant for You. And it's a contemporary Gothic mystery set in a Los Angeles TikTok hype house. We'll talk about what a hype house is, how she managed to trap her heroine inside of one, and what this world of influencers, tarot card readers, and parasocial relationships really says about creativity and relevance in the digital age. We cover a lot of territory here. We're also going to talk about the Coldplay incident with those people getting exposed on the Jumbotron. That sounds like ancient history at this point, but I think it's still very relevant. Always worth discussing. As usual these days, you're going to be able to hear the whole conversation right away if you're a paying subscriber. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait a few weeks. You become a paying subscriber at theunspeakablepodcast.com. And this is a great conversation. So here's Leigh Stein. Enjoy. Leigh Stein, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's one of my favorites to listen to.
Well, you've been on the podcast several times. I believe you were my second guest ever, maybe third, but I think you were the second.
Yes, we talked about the girl boss.
Yeah, what was summer of 2020, summer of podcasts, talking about self-care, your brilliant novel. And since then, you've been on several times talking about the publishing business, how to put books together, how to promote them. You are a very in-demand book coach and publishing coach. But I'm delighted that today we're talking about your own novel. If You're Seeing This, It's Meant for You. I'm holding it up for people who are watching on video, although this is the galley. This is the advanced reader's copy. I learned so much from this book, in addition to being very entertained, things I did not know about, including this concept of the hype house. So Do you want to start right there? What is a hype house, and why did you want to spend so much time thinking about such a thing?
So the origin story for this novel is that it's a Gothic mystery. And during the pandemic, when we couldn't leave our houses, I went to an online Zoom lecture on the novel Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier.
Yes, one of my favorites.
An amazing novel. And the teacher of this course said, it's very hard to write a contemporary Gothic today because you need a reason that the female main character is trapped inside this house. So if you're talking about like the English moors of the 1800s, like where's she going to go? You know, she's going to go ride her horse on the moors, but like, that's it. So as soon as she said that, I remembered this Taylor Lorenz article in the New York Times about this real Los Angeles hype house where all these influencers lived in the same mansion together and made TikTok content together. And I was like, I know how to trap a woman inside a house if I make it a hype house. So that's how I had the idea to set this novel in a hype house. These are real things. They really were popular during the pandemic. That's when they were most popular, but they still exist today. And it's a way to grow your audience and grow your following, because if another influencer in the house has 1 million followers and you have 600,000 followers, you make a dancing video together and then their followers see your video and you gain a following. So it's a kind of collaboration to gain following. The other way that this was used is in LA, there were like these mansions that were for sale on the market. And so they would tell the influencers, like, can you go live in this house and create content? So it ended up being marketing for the real estate.
Oh, okay. And so this concept of a hype house, is this like a social media TikTok era phenomenon, or was there some, like, did these exist like in sort of reality TV world, but we just weren't calling it that?
This is almost like the next generation of reality TV. So like
reality, like the real
TV,
world. It's like, yes. Yeah.
Exactly. So the real world had camera people and producers, and any reality show, you have producers creating drama, you know, and creating storylines and then showing these shows on television. But now it's like, you don't need a producer. You don't need a director, because each of these content creators is filming on their phones, starring in the videos, editing the videos, publishing the videos to their channels. It's like, to be a content creator today, as you know, you have to be able to wear all the hats and do it all. So it's making, to me, what I was interested in writing this is like Gen Xers and elder millennials who have worked in media are becoming just like totally irrelevant.
Really? You don't say. Wouldn't it be amazing if they had these things for like the kind of like intellectual dark web people? Like there should be a hype house for like Eric Weinstein and Peter Boghossian. And,
heterodox hype house.
Heterodox hype house. Unbelievable. Okay, but it's like hard to get into these things. Like there's like, I mean, these are it's kind of an incubator in a way. I mean, I suppose that would be a highfalutin way of putting it, but somebody's in charge of these things and people have to like lobby to get in them. I mean, is there an application process?
That's a good question. I don't know for the real ones how they originate, but yes, there is some kind of manager, some kind of person pulling the strings, running these things. But like you and I grew up reading magazines where we would read stories of these young starlets who were like discovered at the mall, right? Supermodels or actresses who were like approached when they were with their moms shopping. Like, have you thought about modeling? Like, that's how you were discovered. That's the fantasy. But now, like, you don't even need that gatekeeper to discover you, because if you create content, whether you're in a hype house or whether you're in your bedroom, you can go viral, you can get famous. This is like a method of discovery. So Addison Rae, who is kind of like being marketed as the second coming of Britney Spears, she's a pop music celebrity. She started in one of these hype houses. And she has said in interviews, like, she would post 7 dance videos a day. And to some people listening to this might sound very like dumb and superficial and a waste of time, but it's like she put in the work. She grew an audience, and now she's a major pop star. Through the hype house track.
Or play any instruments?
She does sing. She sings and dances.
Okay. I guess it's not too hard to get to your 10,000 hours if you're making this content. They might have to recalibrate that formula. Yeah. Okay.
They're definitely not lazy. I mean, these people work really hard.
I'm sure. Okay. So your novel is called If You're Seeing This, It's Meant for You. Why did you call it that? What does the title refer to?
So the story of the novel is that there's a 39-year-old woman who has basically aged out of the media industry. She's now irrelevant. She can't get a new job. She's supposed to move in with her boyfriend. He dumps her in a Reddit post in the Reddit relationship subreddit. And a man she hasn't spoken to in 20 years has a job opportunity for her, which is managing this hype house out of his crumbling Los Angeles mansion. So she accepts the job. She moves into the hype house. She doesn't know what she's doing. She hasn't been on TikTok in her life. And one of the influencers in the house is a tarot card reader, and she has gone missing from the house. So that is the mystery part of this novel. And on TikTok, there are these tarot card videos that get served to you as you're scrolling. And on the video, it says, if you're seeing this, it's meant for you. And so it stops your scroll because it seems like some kind of divine woo-woo message just for you. And then when you click it, it's always something like, someone from your past is thinking about you. You know, it's always something so vague that like everyone would be like, I fucking knew it. You know, I knew he's thinking about me. Or it's like someone is missing you in heaven. And I was like so moved researching this book and watching these videos because whenever I would see those someone is missing you in heaven videos, all the comments would be like, love you, grandma, because the TikTok users are so young. You know, they're like 19 years old. And there's something like really touching about the comments that I would read on these videos and the special connection that the users feel to the mystical oracle that is transmitting these messages from the beyond to them. And so that was a really interesting part of researching this novel.
Yeah, I guess this is the whole thing. People are really into tarot and I mean, more than ever, kind of like psychics. And I guess instead of going to therapy, people go to psychics. I don't know.
Or instead of going to church.
Oh, that's true. Yes, that's right. Yeah, of course. Okay. So this hype house that you created, it's notably, it's set in, well, you've based it on a very famous house in Los Angeles called the Ennis House, which is a Frank Lloyd Wright house in the neighborhood of Los Feliz in Northeast LA. And the house really plays a huge role in this. And people should understand this is a novel, but this is a real house you can go to and see. Why did you choose this house? Had you been there yourself?
I became obsessed with this house. So initially, a friend of mine who lived in LA, she's like, I have the perfect house for you, for your novel, for your Gothic novel. It's called the Soden House. And the Soden House was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright's son, Lloyd Wright. And it's allegedly where the Black Dahlia murder occurred, in the basement. So the Black Dahlia murder is like so famous in LA lore. It was a James McElroy book.
James Ellroy.
Thank you, James Ellroy. And I started writing a draft with this, and I was going to bring in the Black Dahlia murder. And someone in my writing group was like, that's cliche. Like, the Black Dahlia murder is so overdone. You can't use the Black Dahlia murder. I was like, okay. So then I stumbled across the Ennis house, and I was visiting. I went on a hike there. And like from a distance, it looks like a museum. It looks like a castle or a fortress. It's so large and looming. You're like, what is that? So it's just fascinating. And then the more I learned about Frank Lloyd Wright, like the more obsessed I became with this house. He built it in the 1920s. People thought his career was over. Like he lived to be 91, and his career spans the 19th century and into the mid 20th century. He was so prolific and so productive. And he was also constantly in debt. So he would constantly take on additional projects, but he would fall behind on them.
Oh, man after my own heart.
Yes. He would collect Japanese art prints, but then have to sell them to pay his debts and then go buy more. And there's a true crime story in Frank Lloyd Wright's life, which is that he left his wife for his mistress, who was the wife of one of his clients. He built an estate for them to live in privacy in Wisconsin called Taliesin. And then while he was away, the staff, a servant who worked at the house in a episode of psychosis, the servant was mentally ill, murdered with an axe 7 people, including Frank Lloyd Wright's mistress and her 2 young children.
This is in the Wisconsin house.
This is at the Wisconsin house. So this is like a horrific event that happened in his life. He just seems cursed to me. Like he just seems like followed by bad news. So it's in the wake of this horrible crime. A few years later, he goes to California and he starts trying to rebuild. And he's like, he comes up with this idea to take concrete and make these blocks with a pattern stamped on them because concrete is so cheap. He's like, this will be my new thing. Like after prairie style houses, like the concrete block house was going to be his new thing.
Right. And it has
So-
this kind of Mayan influence, we should
Yes.
say. Like it was this, so this was people, I mean, what was this, the 30s, you're
The
saying?
1920s.
So this was kind of like when people were discovering like ancient Egypt and this kind of thing. Like this was like was this like the original kind of King Tut era, or, you know, that was, yes.
Yeah, and what was happening in the 1920s in Hollywood is they were doing these like ancient Babylonian epic movies, and they would just like leave the sets in the street. So you'd be driving through the streets of LA and you'd be like in ancient Egypt. So this is the era where he's making these concrete block houses. He makes several of them. The Ennis house has 27,000 of these blocks around the exterior, but they were never properly sealed. So what happens was the 1994 Northridge earthquake. Were you in LA at that time? Or no, that was before
I
your
was
time.
not, but I remember when that
So
happened.
that kind of shakes up the foundation, like screws things up. And then in 2005, I think there's like unprecedented rains, tons and tons of rains, and all these thousands of blocks, the water gets in the zigzags and they start cracking and crumbling and the house falls into disrepair. And when I found old photos of what the house looked like at that time, I was like, that's my Gothic novel. Like my house, my novel is set in the period. I'm pretending that that period is current, when like vines are climbing through these concrete blocks. It's just like, I just became obsessed.
Yeah, I do remember that time with the rains. I was living here then, but it's amazing that not that we're going to have a conversation about architecture, but why was this house so built in such a sort of faulty way? Was this just an oversight on his part, or what happened?
It was partially an oversight and partially drama with the clients. It was built for Mabel and Charles Ennis, who like owned a department store. That's where their wealth came from. And several months into the construction, Frank Lloyd Wright was like, I have other things to do. Like, I got to go. Like, my son will finish it. And they
typical
were like,
contractor.
And the wife was like, no, like the wife revolted and she's like, we're going to go with someone else. And she like changed some of the designs. Like she ordered Tiffany lamps, which I guess are like super offensive to Frank Lloyd Wright. Like how could you put Tiffany lamps in a Frank Lloyd Wright home? I don't know. So they went their own way. And so like just communication broke down, things got broken. It just like was never going to be his vision for the masterpiece he intended. And there's all kinds of quirky things about him. Like his roofs are flat and he doesn't believe in gutters. So like there's nowhere for water to go. So like, of course, water is going to get in. He was just such a single-minded, like eccentric genius. It was like his way or no way. Like the art superseded the function.
Yes. Well, if anybody's been to Falling Water in Pennsylvania, which is probably his most famous house, I mean, it's of course there's like a waterfall. Can't remember if it's like if it's actually in the house or around the house. It's so acoustically unpleasant. Like it is so loud. I mean, you go into the house and it's like cold. I mean, it's amazing looking. But it's cold and clammy, and you just hear this water running all the time. And I think it would drive you insane.
I think I haven't been there, but I like looked at the Google reviews and it's like also like damp and smells like mold, like because it's so close to the water.
Okay, so this house was looming large in your imagination. So in the book, what is the house called, and who's the cast of characters?
So in real life, this house had multiple owners over several decades. And there's all kinds of drama about like the city of LA saying this is uninhabitable, like you can't live there, and people starting a trust and trying to get famous celebrities to buy it. There's like all this drama. But in my novel, it's been held in the same family for almost 100 years. And so they want to hold on to it. And so the owner, Craig, is a Gen Xer in his mid-50s. And he lives there with his stepsister. And they are trying to have this hype house to raise money for the restoration of the historic property that they live in. So that's their motivation for starting the hype house. There's also a serendipitous story there that I live in Connecticut. I was in Manhattan covering this TikTok event, this book talk event at Barnes & Noble. And for lunch, I went to Le Pain Quotidien and I was waiting in line. There's a super long line for lunch. And this woman, just a random stranger, started talking to me. And we were like, do you want to share a table? Because it's so crowded. I hardly ever do this. This is so strange that I did this. But she and I shared a table for lunch. And it turns out she lived in LA, and we started talking about Frank Lloyd Wright. And she's like, well, you know about his compression and release technique. And I said, no, I don't know about that. And she said, well, he designed buildings with these kind of skinny, dark hallways that would lead you to these beautiful, open cathedral-like spaces where you would feel constrained and then you would feel like, so it's almost like he's directing your path through his architecture. He decides where you go. And when she told me that, it was like the key to unlocking my book, because I realized that that is kind of the central metaphor in my book for the algorithm on TikTok, that the algorithm is kind of driving you on a path. It's kind of narrowly confining you and forcing you to go this way or that way. So this was like the universe delivered this woman to me.
Wow. Okay. So the main character is a has-been at 39. And what does she want? What is she trying to achieve?
She just kind of aged out of working in digital media. So she was kind of an entertainment journalist. She would write celebrity profiles for Us Weekly, or Entertainment Weekly. And now she can't get a new job because all the jobs are like in social media. All the jobs are like, will you run this Instagram for our brand? And she just feels like, I'm too old to be running the Instagram for your brand. And so she's hoping that if she can make this Hype House a success, she can use this on her resume. She can springboard into the next phase of her career. So she's highly motivated to make this work, but she's learning as she goes. So I'm hoping, when I describe the novel out loud to anyone over 40, they're just like, oh, I'm not on TikTok. They're like so apologetic. Like, I'm not on TikTok. And I'm like, no, I know. Because the main character is like you. Like, the main character does not want to be on TikTok. She's embarrassed. So she's standing in for the people that are like, I know things are changing, but they're changing so quickly. And like, how much do I have to keep up with this stuff? I think that's what a lot of people feel.
Yeah, no, her struggle is our struggle. But the guy who's the owner of the house, the co-owner with his sister, like the curator of all of this stuff. I mean, he and the main character have a past, and it's kind of sad because once upon a time she was like an aspiring actual artist. And
yeah, so she's a former photographer, and this was inspired by like my own writing career. Like, begins on this website called LiveJournal that was like an early 2000s blog. I was like a poet on LiveJournal, but there were also these photographers who used digital cameras. I say digital cameras because I mean this is before the iPhone.
Like cameras that only took pictures. But that's what they did. They were designated.
You couldn't
for
call
that
anyone
purpose.
on your camera.
Okay. Yeah.
But I was like upset. We were all like of the similar age, like late teens, early 20s. And I just so was obsessed with these photographers. There's something about that era of the internet because they were self-portraits, so I could see them, but like their face would be obscured. You didn't know their real name. You didn't know where their day job was or what school they went to. You didn't have all the data and information that you get from contemporary social media. So they were like enigmas. And there was something about that made their work so compelling. In the way that Francesca Woodman's photography, she plays a role in the novel too. Like her photography is so mesmerizing to me. It just feels so secretive. There are more questions than answers. You just want to look at these images.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So who are the influencers in this house? Tell us about some of them.
Okay, so we talked about the tarot card reader who goes missing. There is also like the resident heartthrob of the house is this 22-year-old UCLA dropout. He's been lying to his parents. His parents think he's finishing up his education at UCLA, but he's actually living in the Hype House. He's trying to make money. He wants to be a filmmaker, so he has big dreams, but he has found that his niche is basically making flirtation. He makes some content about movies, but he also makes very flirtatious thirst trap content for middle-aged women. And this is based on a real guy. This is based on a real guy in Canada who went viral for lip syncing to Barry Manilow's song Mandy. If you're familiar.
Yeah. Yes, I am. I am familiar with that song.
So he has like the horniest fan base, and they send him an allowance. They feel very entitled to him because they're
this is the real
him.
Guy or your character?
This is the real guy. This is the guy who inspired my fictional character.
Okay.
Like, this is based on a real kind of parasocial scenario where you have a young man making shirtless content, lip syncing to songs that are familiar to women of a certain age. It's not my
Why
generation,
would
it's your
those women
generation.
even be watching TikTok? Any woman who's going to get swoony over somebody singing a Barry Manilow song is unlikely to be on TikTok.
That's a good question. I don't know what makes them join the app. Did their kids get them on it? Like a lot of Gen X parents are on TikTok because their kids turned them onto it.
Oh, right.
So,
Okay.
but they identify as a fan, like they are a fandom. Like there is a hashtag associated with their fandom. And they are just so I find this absolutely fascinating. It's also like the middle-aged fandom of Harry Styles is like a similar fandom. There's like he could be their son. He's that age, but there's something about him that just brings them to life. So I translated that to my own book. So I have a similar character, and I'm writing about kind of the dangers of parasocial relationships, because if you feel entitled to someone's attention, like how far will you go to get close to that object of your desire?
Right. Okay. So there's this guy. Remind me his name.
His name's Jake.
Okay.
Jake Cho. He's Korean American. Then I have a couples account. So this is also based on a real genre of TikTok content, which is boyfriends and girlfriends who make videos together, or husbands and wives who make videos together.
Okay.
So viewers are following them. Again, it's like reality TV. Like you're following the couple. So you're watching them prank each other. You're watching them what they do in a day. You're watching them make silly videos. You're watching them go through hard times. I mean, I've watched couples on TikTok, their pregnancy announcement, one of them telling the other one. I mean, obviously the woman would tell the man that she's pregnant. That's all on camera. It's like taking you into the most intimate moments of their lives. So I have a young couple in my book. And then I have a plus size style influencer, a maximalist style influencer who puts together crazy outfits. There's a lot of fun to write about clothes in this book. There's a lot of clothing. And then I have one of the main characters is an aspiring actress who moves to the house because she really wants to find the missing tarot card reader. So that's her true motivation for being there. Mm-hmm. And her first video that she posts, or her second video that she posts, is because she feels like such a failure and she fails to make this dance. She sucks at it, and she starts crying in the video because she's like, I'm going to have to go home. Like, I can't do this. And the video of her crying goes viral. So then she becomes the crying girl on TikTok, and all her video content is her crying. So this is another one of my niche fascinations, is videos of people crying on the internet.
Right. What do you think attracts people to the crying, and why is it so often in a car? I mean, I know that's the most like Gen X kind of question, but I'd honestly like to know.
Car videos, they're like sound booths.
That's
so you
why?
Have consistent lighting and sound when you're in your car.
Why can't they just flip the mirror so the image is not mirrored? I don't understand. It's like you go to all this trouble to make a video, and yet your T-shirt writing is backwards because you didn't adjust the mirror setting on the camera.
Well, if you're recording it in TikTok and you're using like the retouch feature, well, when I'm watching myself in TikTok, if I flip it, I look the opposite to myself, and I find that very disorienting. Like the way my nose looks to you is not the way my nose looks to myself. And then I'm like, is that what my nose looks like?
Believe me. No, the way anybody's nose looks to them is not what it looks like to the outside world. Yeah.
Have you seen these videos of Ocean Vuong crying? This is timely.
No, I would like to see people, crying while looking at his balance sheet. But yes, go ahead. His royalty statement.
Ocean Vuong is this poet and literary novelist, and Oprah just chose him for her book club pick. But there have been several videos on my Instagram of him being so moved, like getting the call from Oprah, being chosen by Oprah, talking to Oprah. He's millennial, Vietnamese American, gay, but he just cries openly on camera. I just find it. Some people find it so like they can't watch other people cry on camera, and other people they find it so. What could be more sympathetic than watching someone be so vulnerable and cry? So I think it either compels you or repels you.
Or repels you. And you think it's genuine in his case anyway. He's actually crying. Does it feel does it feel staged at all? I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
I think I'm just like such a trusting person. Like I'm just like a gullible, trusting person that when I see people crying on camera, like I just believe that they're really crying on camera. But then my next thought is always like, oh my God, I can't believe they're crying on camera. Like I believe that it's real, but I question their decision to put that on camera.
Jonathan Franzen should have done that when he got picked by Oprah and made a big
As he's
star.
rejecting her offer, he's crying.
Yes. And she would have cried. He should have done that and made her cry, gotten a video of that, posted it. And Jonathan Franzen, where are you, man? We haven't heard from him in years. It would all be different.
Yeah, that book Crossroads came out so long ago. It was supposed to be a trilogy or something, but it's been many years.
I'm sure he's working on other stuff. Look, just to be clear, I'm a huge Jonathan Franzen
Me too.
fan. And he has better things to do than be on the internet, like write books. But that's so funny. Okay, so it's amazing. So it's like somebody who's like a highbrow literary star is like Ocean Vuong is still recording crying videos of himself. This is where we are.
Well, this is like something you and I think have talked about before, where it's like, I think literary novelists are like, well, I could never deign to make content because I am an artist. It's like that's seen as so beneath them. But it's like, okay, Ocean Vuong is crying on Instagram. Like these are literary artists. Everyone has to make content now. Gia Tolentino for The New Yorker, like she's posting a video on the New Yorker page that's like, here are 3 books that I recommend. Like that's what a book talk. She's imitating book talk. Gia Tolentino. The last piece, I just wrote about this yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. The last piece she wrote for The New Yorker was in February. What's she up to? Making content.
Okay, well, we don't know. She could be working on some master opus.
Maybe she's on book leave.
What do you think? Okay, but honestly, if Gia Tolentino, and we should say she's like a highly respected essayist, cultural critic, New Yorker staff writer, got her start on Jezebel, by the way. If she were not doing this, would she really be suffering? Honestly.
If the New Yorker was like, will you make video content? And she was like, no, I will not.
She said, no, I won't. I mean, okay, but all right. If the New Yorker said you can make video content if you want, we don't care. It's up to you. How would her career be different?
I just don't think anyone is safe for long. So like a few days ago, Variety shared this memo from the New York Times culture desk that they are moving 4 critics, including Jesse Green, the theater critic. There's a TV critic, and there's 2 other people, I think, music critics.
Classical music critic.
They're not firing them. They're like reassigning them vaguely. And the memo is like, we have to acknowledge these times they are a-changing. Like we have to listen to fandoms, and we're searching for critics that can meet the moment with video content. So if you are, what more cushy job could you have? You're the theater critic of the New York Times. I'm sure that person assumed that he would always have that or have that job for a long time.
Right. It's like being on the Supreme Court. Did they have to make content?
The Supreme Court justices, they're publishing books.
Like
Ketanji Jackson's publishing a book.
Yeah, I'd like to see John Roberts doing some Instagram stories.
But yeah, I don't think you can assume that you're safe, even if you're at one of these legacy publications, because the creator economy has really come for the mainstream media. The mainstream media is looking to the creator economy for ideas on how they can stay relevant. The creator economy is leading this, is driving it.
Yeah, well, for sure. So, I mean, I want to make sure, okay, I want to ask you about things like Substack and, I know you work with a lot of, you work as a book coach and you work with writers and you've talked with me and you talk with many people about how to promote their books, but I want to just stay with this story for a little bit here. Owen Wilson is in this book. Importantly. And I don't know, is he going to sue you? Like, how did you manage to create a whole character?
That's so funny. He's the favorite character in the novel. He is a rabbit. Mm-hmm. I'm not a rabbit owner. So this is another thing I had to research for the book. But I just saw this photo on Google image search of a lion. It's either a lion-headed, I think it's a lion-headed or lion-hearted rabbit. And as soon as I saw this photo, I was like, this rabbit looks exactly like Owen Wilson. And so I just decided to
Were you the only one that had that observation, or were there other comments?
No,
with similar
that was my original contribution.
It's a lion. Is that a type of rabbit?
It's a breed of rabbit. And just the way its face looked, I was like, oh, it looks just like the actor Owen Wilson. So I had to put in so Owen Wilson is like, of all the things that have changed in this novel, like he's been there from the start, like, and he's like the OG. So everyone loves this character. So he's owned by the 39-year-old main character. She has no children. She just has this rabbit. And the thing I learned about rabbits is that because they are prey, they can actually be scared to death. So if they're in danger, they could die of fear. And so that was like a good thing to use for stakes in my novel. So there are a couple instances where Owen Wilson is in danger in the novel.
Right. And he's also a very hot commodity. The influencers always want to borrow him and use him for things.
They want to make content with him. Yes.
Because
it's
animals
great for
big,
engagement. And I hope the real Owen Wilson is listening to this episode, because my fantasy is like him holding a copy of my book. Just imagine how that would go viral. I mean, that would perform so well. So I hope he's one of your fans.
No doubt. Somebody named Owen is, if not that one. All right. So you obviously, Leigh, you are highly adaptable. You have been very smart because you have embraced all this stuff, but you still maintain your literary cred and your kind of elder millennial OG smart person cred. But I mean, how are you feeling about this landscape? I mean, maybe there's no point in even having an opinion. Maybe that's a stupid question. I mean, it is what it is. But are you sanguine about the future? Like, are you glad that you only have to live 40 or 50 more decades, or do you wish that you had 100?
I think I feel so bullish about the creator economy. Like, I feel positive about the idea that if I build my own audience, that's a kind of savings account or a safety net, that as long as I have my own list and my own audience, I can talk directly to them no matter what happens. And as you know, this novel took me 9 months to sell. I was humiliated and furious. The publisher of Self-Care, which is my most popular book, declined to exercise their option on my next book. So they always get first pick, the publisher of your last book, and they said no. And when I got that call, I was like at the gym and I put on Eminem and just started doing squats. I was so angry.
What was the reason? I mean, Self-Care was so brilliant and it did really well. So what was their rationale?
They said they were hoping for a murder. So even though my novel is a mystery, there's no murder. I did this on purpose, not on accident. It's part of the twist. Okay, there's no murder. But that's not giving anything away by telling you that up front. But so they declined, and then I spent 9 months trying to sell it. So the rejections were now in hindsight, I have more clarity, but the rejections were we don't understand what a hype house is. We're not on TikTok. Mm-hmm. But in hindsight, I can see that my twist wasn't working in the previous draft, and my new editor helped me with that. And the book is so much better. I'm so proud of this book. And I feel like I share all the good reviews with him because he helped me. So I can see that now. But during those 9 months, I was my main character. I was becoming irrelevant because I thought, if I can't sell this book, how am I going to coach other people on how to sell their books? I felt like a fraud. If I can't sell my own book, I'm going to charge other people money to hire me to help them sell their books. So I was like, is my career over? I felt like I was facing a kind of professional death. And my career is all I have. I don't have kids. I have a career. So it was such a relief.
You've got to get a rabbit at least.
I have a cat.
Okay.
I have a cat. But selling it felt like I had escaped death of my career.
Believe me, it's no guarantee. I mean, publishing a book may actually hasten the death of one's career. But okay, so you're bullish on this. I mean, there's a lot of talk these days about what's happening on Substack. You're on Substack. I'm on it. We're recording this in July. There's been a lot of discussion just even over the last few weeks about people losing subscribers. It's unclear why that's happening, if some of those were even real subscribers in the first place. Substack is undergoing a lot of changes. They just had their Series C investment. So they're really booming. How are you feeling about Substack? Personally.
I'm a little scared. I've been totally pro Substack. I even invested in whatever that last round was where they let the writers invest.
Oh, they didn't ask me about that. Really? That must have gone into my spam.
Maybe it was several years ago.
Okay.
But they just raised $100 million. Is that what you remember? Mm-hmm. They raised $100 million. They make 10%, for those who don't know. So if Meghan and I make you know, $10,000 from Substack, they get 1,000 of those dollars. That's how they make money. But for their biggest earners, like the Free Press, for example, what is the Free Press's incentive for staying on Substack? Couldn't the Free Press, the Free Press just launched an app. They have the infrastructure do they need Substack's infrastructure and Substack gets 10% of that? So I'm worried that now that they have all this VC money, they have to deliver returns.
Right.
They have to scale.
Right.
They have to earn so much more revenue. Where is that going to come from? I don't know. I'm not worried about losing my audience because it's easy to download your list. I can go to another platform. That's not what I'm worried about. But I have been so pro Substack because it is a social network on top of being a newsletter platform. And so I have seen so much growth thanks to being on Substack compared to MailChimp, for example.
Right.
But I am a little worried about the future of Substack. To your point about subscriptions, I am so at capacity. People will just sign me up for their newsletters. They're like, oh, I love Leigh's work. I'll sign her up for my newsletter. I'm like, wait a second.
That's what
You're a fan of mine.
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works. So I'm way at capacity. I can't do any more newsletter subscriptions.
For the subscriptions that you consume.
As a user myself, as a reader,
for sure.
as a user.
I mean, I always find it amazing when people are sort of like, oh, I'm sorry, I had to unsubscribe, from your Substack. And I'm thinking okay, A, totally get it. And B, I wouldn't have noticed. So you don't have to tell me.
Right. I'm not looking. I'm not checking those analytics. I don't need to know.
No, I don't have a Google alert on my unsubscribes.
But interestingly, I think a lot of people that are turning to me for advice and help are novelists, because I think the people in the nonfiction space kind of get it. The nonfiction writers are I get it. I got to write freelance articles. Maybe I need to start a newsletter related to my subject, or I need to podcast. But the novelists, they all expect their publisher to just make the book, and then that doesn't happen. And then they come to me and they're like, I'm so screwed. I can't sell my next book, or I want to do things differently next time. They don't understand how to create content in the same way that comes naturally to nonfiction authors. So that's kind of a niche that I have found for myself helping novelists. And I should mention, one of the crazy things I did to market my new novel is I decided to launch my own quote unquote hype house, which is basically a 4-week social media workshop with me that I'm just calling a hype house to be cute because it's in my novel, but to teach content to writers. And a lot of people that signed up for this were novelists. It's sold out now, so I'm not promoting it. I'm just mentioning it as
I want to sign up. So is it running currently? How does it work?
I'm going to do it in September. And instead of charging money for it, I said you had to buy 10 copies of my book. And I sold 1,000 books in 13 days.
Wow, smart.
So I'm very, very proud of myself for this. So I'm running this in September. I might do it again in the future and charge money for it. But for now, it was just this kind of stunt to try to generate pre-orders.
Okay. And so what can you tell us a little bit about the class? How does it work? You don't have to give anything away.
It's going to be 4 weeks, and it's about figuring out who your audience is. So novelists don't think about this either. Someone even asked me, they were like, Leigh, were you thinking about the audience for your novel as you're writing it? And it's yeah, that's why I learned TikTok. I got on TikTok. I learned book talk. I was like, these are the people that are going to read this book. What do they like? What are they interested in? I wrote the book for them. I knew who the audience was from the very beginning as I was writing it. But I don't think novelists think about this at all. If you were give me a demographic profile of your reader, they'd be like, I have no idea who would read my novel.
Probably knows.
Middle-aged white women. I mean, that's the Oprah Book Club audience.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. But okay, if your audience is middle-aged white women, do they reliably watch TikTok? What if somebody's audience is middle-aged white women? Let's just start right there. What would your advice be? How do you reach them?
They're probably on Facebook or Instagram. You've got to be where they are. They're probably not on TikTok. No. So the people that are afraid that I'm going to tell them that they have to make TikTok content, I'm not going to tell you to make TikTok content if your audience is not on TikTok. That doesn't make any sense. They're more likely on Facebook. Are they in library book clubs? Do you want to do a bunch of library events? Is that where your audience is? Figuring out where they are. You could go into your local bookstore and read the little shelf talkers and see who's recommending similar books to yours and find out who that bookseller is. Who is Joanne who recommended that book that's similar to yours? You know, how could you get a copy to Joanne? So it's like identifying where your audience is and who are the tastemakers that they trust. Who are the influencers that they trust? I'm not on Facebook, but I know there are these Facebook book clubs run by women that are older than I am that have these devoted followings that want to read whatever that person recommends. Like, so you've got to make friendship. You have to find those people. You have to make friendships with them. This takes a long time. I've been making friendships with the TikTok people now for 3 years to get to this moment. And this has like been the most exciting part of my book launch is like seeing TikTok creators make videos that say like, I nailed it. Like the fact that someone who's an actual TikTok content creator who's way more famous than me thinks I accurately represented what it's like to be a TikTok content creator. It's like, that's the highest compliment to me. It's so satisfying.
What's the future of TikTok? I mean, what if it just went away?
Trump is already, I mean, it's scary. It could go away at any time. It went away for like 14 hours. That was devastating.
Too bad you couldn't put that in the book. That would have been a great
14 hours.
Great.
What if it goes dark?
twist.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
They would have been crying a lot. They all could have made crying videos. But he when he brought it back at his inauguration, it was for something like a 45-day window. But now he's just disregarded the legislation again. Like there was legislation passed in Congress that said TikTok has to sell to an American company or like you're done, like no more TikTok. And Trump was like, we're not following that legislation. And so,
I mean, what do you think? Do you think that, I mean, this is dangerous? We're just giving all our money to the Chinese government? I mean, seriously, I'm sure you have thoughts about this.
I have not heard many persuasive arguments about the threat that TikTok poses, because to me, it would be like the Chinese government knowing my Netflix data. Like the Chinese government knowing what I watch on Netflix. Oh, Leigh likes true crime documentaries. Like, so you know what I watch on TikTok? Like, it's not that kind of data about me. Like, what are you going to do with that?
But it seems like they could investigate people's videos and see who they are and where they live and what's in their house and, you know, who's in there. I don't know. There seems there's I mean, there's personal content all over the internet, but if there has some like, you know, particular kind of spyware that could, you know, zoom in on the, you know, combination lock to somebody's front door.
Element?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Is that what scares you the most?
It doesn't, I don't think about it enough to have a specific set of fears, but I just, it seems to me that it has to be more than just like knowing what people's tastes are.
Yeah, it's like, as long as I've been online, like Google knows way more about me. Meta knows way more about me. I'm not on TikTok with my friends. Like my contacts are not connected to this. Like the one thing that scared me a little bit, I think it was when it went up to the Supreme Court, they gave like a example, like a case study where it's like, let's say a young man enters the US military and the Chinese government can see that he watched something compromising, something embarrassing on TikTok, and they use that to blackmail a member of our military. That was the first example where I was like, oh yeah, that does sound bad.
Or blackmail anybody. Right?
Yeah, I guess because I don't watch anything that I would be afraid for anyone to know about that I watch that.
Wow, really? I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube and the algorithm.
Are you afraid if someone would find out what you watched on YouTube?
No, but I might be embarrassed. I mean, you go through phases and you go through like weird, you know, the parasocial relationship thing.
Here's the other argument of TikTok. It's like that it will be used for propaganda purposes against Americans, right? This is the other threat.
Yeah.
But for me, if I'm watching TikTok within 3 seconds, if this video is like something I don't agree with or something that seems strange to me, I swipe by.
But you're smart.
You know,
you're an adult.
Yeah, but everyone on TikTok is making these like split decisions about whether to watch. Like it would have to be so sophisticated that it's like I have a hard time imagining this dystopian future that people say we should all be afraid of. I have a hard time.
But what do you think about the addictive qualities? Because I remember this is such a cliche at this point, but like TikTok has been shown to be more addictive than heroin. Like, is it more addictive than YouTube Shorts, for instance? Like, is there something about the secret sauce of TikTok that makes it, harder to get out of?
Yeah, TikTok's proprietary algorithm is so sophisticated that it's so perfectly calibrated to the viewer, to you. It knows exactly what you want. And I can give another scary example of when I did see the dark side of this. It was right after October 7th. And I was being shown videos of young Jewish people who look just like me, Ashkenazi Jews, and they were delivering a pro-Palestinian. I had not watched any content about Israel or about being Jewish. Like, that is not something that I consume on TikTok. But it knew what I looked like enough to show me, because it wasn't showing me Palestinian Americans, Arab Americans, Muslim Americans. It was showing me Ashkenazi Jews, young people, talking very passionately about Gaza and about the Palestinian cause. So it was like targeted. It knew what it was doing to show me those videos. And that was like, oh, I see what the people who are critics of TikTok are talking about.
I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah. Yeah. But I guess because I am like meta aware, like I could understand what was happening. And what you're saying is like someone who's younger than I am and less media savvy than I am would have the emotional reaction without the critical thinking reaction, possibly.
Sure. I want to talk about parasocial relationships in case anybody doesn't know what that means. Why don't you describe what that means?
Well, this is so funny because parasocial relationship is like a one-sided relationship you have where like you're the fan of someone else. And in the pandemic, I was listening to so many podcasts, including yours, Meghan, that like you were in my dreams during the pandemic because your voice was in my ear. So like I was having a parasocial relationship with you. Now we are real friends. But it's like that you were such a figure, you were such a voice in my head that you like invaded my dreams.
Was it a nightmare or like was sex dream or what kind of dreams were?
Neither a nightmare nor a sex dream. I don't remember them.
You don't remember?
In detail,
gotta write your dreams down. This would be a good, I'm sure somebody has a blog like, dreams of podcasters. It's fairly common.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even on video then. It was audio. So it was literally just my voice.
Yeah, it was totally audio. Yeah, but we could talk about parasocial relationships in terms of like, the extreme edge of it would be like people, what was the assassinator who was obsessed with Jodie Foster?
Oh, Hinckley, John Hinckley Jr.
Yeah, like that's an example.
The one who shot Reagan. Yeah.
Yes.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
That was he had a parasocial relationship with Jodie Foster. Okay.
Right.
So stalkers
would be an extreme edge of parasocial relationship, or it could be just a fan, like a Taylor Swift obsessive that has all the costumes and goes to the tour and like screams, just a fan.
Okay.
Who believes that she has a special connection to Taylor Swift, or just, it's like, when does fandom cross over into parasocial relationship, I guess is the question.
Okay. And so that's interesting because I always thought that parasocial relationship was like a fairly new concept that had to do with social media. But in fact, this has been around. The people who are just super fans. Okay. But now we have this thing where like people have parasocial relationships with people who aren't even necessarily that famous. Somebody with a YouTube channel with 30 viewers or something like this. I don't know about you, but I have, the creator ends up also having a relationship with the audience. Like, I wonder
if you want to grow as a creator, it's like you have to cultivate almost a parasocial fandom.
Right. But I wonder if creators, this would be a good story, actually, like a creator becoming obsessed with his or her own fan and stalking
going the other
fan.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Write that novel.
I don't know. Actually, maybe I will. I'll cut this part out so nobody steals it. But, do you think this is healthy? I think in a way, like I do think, the whole concept of fandom, it's really huge. And I think that especially a lot of older people overlook this as like a huge part of the culture. Like a lot of the reason, like a lot of the sort of social justice activism that we've seen over the last 15 years actually is rooted in fandom. I mean, this is something that you've talked about, something Catherine D talks about a lot, Kat Rosenfield as well. And even if it's fandom over like anime or something like that. And I think that people don't always grasp this.
Well, here's a perfect example. There was a controversial publication of Joan Didion's notes on her therapy sessions that Knopf published this year.
Yes.
My first reaction to this was like, oh my God, would she have wanted this to be published? My second reaction was like, well, I'm her fan. Like, don't I deserve to read these letters? Like I felt this sense of entitlement. It was like the first, because I don't feel that with Taylor Swift. Like I'm not a Swiftie. Like I don't know. I don't identify with one of these
Taylor
fandoms.
Swift's notes to her therapist would be fascinating. Might be TikTok videos.
We want that.
Yeah.
But the Joan Didion book, that's when I was like, oh, and I feel this, I feel similarly with Sylvia Plath. Like since I was a teenager, I just want to read, I want to consume everything about Sylvia Plath. I am such a fan. And I feel entitled to everything. Like the fact that Ted Hughes burned her final journals, you're like, how could you do that, Ted Hughes, when we deserve those journals, which is insane when you think about it. But it's similar to the Joan Didion thing. It's like, why do we feel so entitled to these moments that were private for them? Who gets to decide when those private moments are made public?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess with the Didion, this is Notes to John. Is that the name of the book that was published? Yeah. I mean, I guess I was also like icked out when that was coming out. But I mean, the argument, I guess.
But did you read it anyway?
Yeah, of course. I bought it. I have it. Like I guess the argument was that these notes were like in her desk drawer or somewhere. Like she left them in a place where she knew they would be found. And she
knew they were being donated to an archive at Columbia University. Yes. So she knew all the papers would be available to scholars.
Exactly. So if she really, really didn't want anyone to read them, she would have destroyed them. Yeah. And you know, she lived long enough that she had her affairs in order. You know, she did not like die suddenly and, you know, leave it to whomever to sort it out. So yeah, I don't know, but it is strange. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll have a whole other episode about this. Actually, I would love to talk about this more, but yeah, I mean, the stuff about her daughter and, you know, it was I think people were so dissatisfied with a lot of the stuff she published about her daughter, Quintana.
Well, you wrote about this.
Felt very necessary. Yeah.
In her memoir of her daughter's death, you wrote a review. I don't remember where it's for, but you were saying like her daughter's alcoholism is like weirdly missing from this book.
Yeah, that book was frustrating, and there was something totally fascinating about those notes. But yeah, I would not have wanted them published if I were Joan Didion. Just put it that way.
They're almost like the inverse of each other, because Blue Nights is like so elliptical. There's like so much that's left out, and Letters to John has it all, or Notes to John, like has it all, but it's not crafted at all. Like you can tell like this, she didn't write this as a book. Like this is not a Joan Didion book. Like these are her notes for a future book.
Before we wrap up, I mean, I do want to drill down on this because it sounds like you are pretty bullish, like you say, on the future of creativity. Maybe we're calling it content creation. And writers and other artists are just going to have to accept the fact that the record label or the publisher or the art gallery or whatever it is not going to be the vehicle through which they make a living. But it's still really hard. And so like when you speak with, if there's like a 20-year-old out there who says like, I just really want to be a writer. Like I want to write books. I want to write words, or I want to be a filmmaker, whatever it is. Like, what would you tell them is what should be their sort of first stop on their professional journey?
I think figure out how you're going to make money so that you can make art. Like figure out the best way to earn income for the fewest number of hours so that you have the most possible time to write. Like, as I started working in restaurants, that's what I did. I would work nights and then I could write during the day. And that's what worked for me as a young person. Or I taught in after school programs and I wrote during the day. But the thing the thing for me, and I know I'm an outlier, not everyone will relate to this, but like I am on the internet and I am a writer for the same reason, which is to connect to other people. So it's the same instinct for me in both things. Like I want to write a poem that one person will be like, I love that poem. And I want to make a video that one person will be like, that was hilarious. So for me, it's just the same, it's human to human. And this is also why I don't live in fear of AI. Because I think if you build an audience, if you get those stalkers, those parasocial connections, that's human to human. Like AI is not going to, can never replace that. That audience that's made out of human beings who like my work because I'm a human being who made it.
Okay, well, that's heartening. I mean, that's why I started doing retreats and in-person stuff, because I think people really do crave that. And hopefully AI can't, sweep
AI
in
can't
and
replace that.
overtake that market. But, another thing I wanted to ask you about before we go, I mean, we're recording this on July 21st, and this episode is not going to release until closer to your pub date. So maybe this story will be a distant memory. But, we've had this thing happen over the last several days here with it's being called Coldplay Gate. This is this beyond like mega viral. Like, I don't think I've ever seen like a personal incident escalated to this level. This is the CEO of this company called Astronomer, whose name is Andy Byron. He was caught on a Jumbotron at a Coldplay concert embracing a woman who was not his wife. Turns out she's the HR director of the company. And they were like hiding from the camera. And this, it was revealed that they were having an affair. These were not public figures. They were wealthy people, but they weren't celebrities. And I don't really think I've seen anything like this in terms of like monetized embarrassment or just like, I don't even know if it's been monetized. So certainly somebody's monetizing. But I just, in terms of like mocking people and making an online spectacle of them, I think this pretty much tops it all. How are you feeling about this?
Well, I'm so glad you brought this up because I think it perfectly illustrates that the era of content that we're in is participatory. So the difference between Real World and now is you could watch Real World on your television. You could read a magazine article about a cast member of Real World, but you weren't a participant in Real World, as you watched it. But because of what TikTok has done to change media, the comments section on TikTok, I can't overestimate. Like, it's such a treasure trove, the comment section on TikTok. It's like nothing else on the internet. It's so playful and participatory. And so that kind of culture has now permeated throughout the social media platforms outside TikTok, beyond. Like, I'm seeing this Coldplay stuff. I'm seeing brands imitate this, brands making jokes about this Coldplay debacle on Instagram. Brands are playing along. So it's like it's like fans can play along. It's not that these are fans of either of these people or of Coldplay. It's just like we all now want content that we can play like a game. So everyone's playing this. And this is in my book because the missing tarot card influencer, they stage a whole for-profit campaign for a fashion label around her disappearance because the 39-year-old figures out this is what will get attention. And so they all start making videos around the disappearance, and then people start playing along in the comments and looking for clues. And that's how ultimately that's part of the search for the missing influencer. So this is the perfect example of how participatory content has become.
But it's so mean-spirited. It reflects so poorly on just the state of humanity.
Yeah, that you're playing along with the worst moment of someone's life.
And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And both of these people, I think, were married to other people. There's kids involved. There's families involved. People's lives are being utterly destroyed. Company is probably being destroyed. People's jobs are being destroyed. And it's just people.
If I was running a brand account, like if I was running a social media for a brand account, like I would not want to jump on this bad one. Like I do think it's like in very poor taste. I don't condone this at all.
No, but I'm really surprised. Like, how, I mean, even like people who should know better are circulating it. Like, I guess
Well,
I get it.
okay, here's a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because media has gotten so niche and multiplied? Like, we no longer talk about Friends around the water cooler. Like, we don't have one show that we all talk about, that this is the one thing that everyone found. Like, my husband told me about it, and he and I are like on different internets. He's like, did you see that thing? Like, that touched both of us. So it's the one thing that we all heard about this week.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Monica Lewinsky level.
Yes.
It truly is. I mean, and it,
but people are having more. Well, I was very young when that happened. Did people have fun with that, or was it just shocking?
No, they had fun with it. I mean, I remember reading the Monica Lewinsky story in the New York Times, and I was actually sitting on a plane. This was 1997 or 6 or something. I remember sitting on a plane. It was early in the morning. Plane was ready to take off. We were a little delayed on the tarmac, and just a lot of business people, early flight, and every single person had the New York Times open on that plane, on that flight, just reading it in real time and kind of looking at each other and going like, oh my God. And like the cigar moment, like the idea that this would be in the New York Times. And it was this very strange kind of moment of like collective experience. And then
rare. It's like rarer and rarer that we have those.
Well, but then it became a huge thing, and it was on, television around the clock and on radio. I mean, it was as big as anything could have been at that time. And in fact, more so, because it actually was less siloed. More people knew about Monica Lewinsky, obviously for obvious reasons, than know about the Coldplay couple. But
it's like we used to gather around the TV to like watch the moon landing. It's like what great historic achievement have, and now it's just like gather around the Instagram to see like the public humiliation of these adulterers.
Yeah,
it's the one thing we all watch.
And I think people, they think it's okay because they're punching up, right? It's like, this is a CEO. These are like powerful white people.
I never heard of him or his company.
No, but they love it. They're making, they love making fun of this, like, silver-haired, middle-aged rich guy.
Easy target.
Yeah. I don't like it at all. I just think I find it really distasteful. I mean, it is the kind of thing people can, get into serious mental health crises if this happens. I mean, I can't even imagine what these people are going through.
Well, public shaming is like a kind of death.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and it's like what we were taught as children. It's like, as children, you're taught like, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine what it would be like if you were them, like what if I was caught on that camera doing something that I shouldn't be doing, but it's like, no one has that moment of like stopping and checking themselves.
I wonder too, if the people who are most, throwing the stones the hardest have the glass houses, because you always get upset about the thing you hate about in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of people do cheat, it goes on a lot. There's a reason that it provokes this extreme visceral response in people, because they get cheated on, they cheat. I mean, this is just part of life. So if you have an opportunity to publicly shame a person who seems to be in a more powerful position than you, who's cheating, then have at it, I suppose.
This is our scarlet letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation. As always, I know you are coming to LA to talk about the book on September 8th, which will be coming up here soon. What else do you want to tell us? Where can we find you online and in real life?
I am on TikTok as Leigh Stein and Instagram as Leigh Stein. And I have a Substack newsletter called Attention Economy for those of you who are writers. So that newsletter is really geared toward writers, but my TikTok and Instagram are for readers.
Okay. And you're going to be in Los Angeles where?
At Skylight Books on September 8th. And I'm going to be in conversation with Forteza Latifi, who's a really interesting journalist who covers family vloggers. And she like interviews the children who have grown up on YouTube their whole lives and what that's like for them. Wow. So I'm really interested to talk to her.
Okay. And people can go. We should say that the Ennis house is very near Skylight Books in Los Feliz, so people can do a drive-by on their way to the event.
Yeah. It's near Griffith Park, the Ennis House.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Well, congratulations on the book. I love it. It is so much fun. And I always love talking with you. So thanks, Leigh.
Thank you.
That was my conversation with Leigh Stein. Her new novel is If You're Seeing This, It Was Meant for You. If you are seeing this or listening to this before September 3rd and you are anywhere near New York City, you should come see me at the Village Underground with Lionel Shriver, the best-selling novelist, frequent podcast guest here, and Spectator columnist. We're going to be talking about my new book, The Catastrophe Hour, as well as lots of other stuff. So you can check the link in the show notes. It's 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 3rd. Doors open at 5:15. We'll be selling books, and it's going to be a great night. I'm going to take next week off for Labor Day, but I will be back very soon with another super nuanced guest. See you then.